We consistently talk about how one of the largest problems in the United States is that we're just not able to build anything. We are
Maybe our biggest problem?
maybe our biggest problem that we're just the build nothing country.
Yep.
One example of this is we have EV stations, money that are supposed to go to EV stations. We're trying to build like 500,000 or something over the course of a decade. Last year we built 5.
Wow. Is that true?
Swear to God.
Oh my God.
Listen, it might take a while to build them. I don't know. But right now we've built 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to start building shit. And one of the biggest hurdles to building stuff is permitting. It's really hard to build stuff because there are so many different permitting regulations that you need to do before you're able to build anything. And it's causing problems with green energy development, with manufacturing development, with getting money out of the CHIPS Act, building out the fabs that are necessary to build semiconductors. All of this is a big problem. Senator Joe Manchin, for all of his bad, and there is a lot, has been pushing for permitting reform since the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act. Mm-hmm. On Monday, Manchin told energy executives that legislation reforming infrastructure permitting will get done before the end of this legislative session.
That's
U.S.
good.
Senator Daniel Sullivan, he's from Alaska. He represents like the mining state of Alaska. Okay, very, very important to that state's economy. Also told the group that the nation needs to fashion a critical minerals development policy. This is good. We need a critical mineral development policy. This is specifically because they're needed for batteries and electric vehicles and the transition to green energy. We need all of these things. We need to get permitting done. Obviously, the political battle comes in how you get it done and the different intricacies on how this will work. So Democrats want the permitting process to be capped at 2 years max for all green energy related projects, while Republicans want the permitting process to be capped at 2 years for all energy types, green, fossil fuel, whatever it is, capped at 2 years for everything. Democrats are against that. Manchin sides with the Republicans on that one.
Yes, which makes sense because West Virginia is a big fossil fuel energy producer.
Yeah.
This is so important though, because when we talked earlier about new natural gas plants going into operation, we said these aren't going to shut down ever.
Right.
Once these are on, they're staying on. If we can have differences in the permitting processes for renewable energy generation and for fossil fuel energy generation, that's one of the very few places we can actually ensure that renewables takes a lead on fossil fuels.
Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point. Republicans also want to, this is crazy to me, okay? Republicans, in part of any permitting deal, Republicans want to block any federal agency from thinking about climate change throughout the permitting process.
It is crazy.
What do they have, a death wish?
No, I'm assuming that like catastrophe is going to start getting bad enough that Republicans are scrambling, and then they start finding a way to blame Democrats for not handling climate change well enough. And the good thing will be by then there will be no argument for them to make against it, and they'll be like, okay, yes, let's pass all this stuff. The same way that it's like, yeah, let's pass let's subsidize semiconductor development because everyone is on the side of isolating ourselves or protecting ourselves from China, from China's economic warfare. But it's going to be so late in the game.
What scares me is I will always say the only thing more dangerous than a right-winger who doesn't believe in climate change is a right-winger who does believe in climate change. Because a right-winger who does believe in climate change will say it's all the immigrants' fault, put machine guns at the borders, don't let anybody else in, it's all their fault.
Why?
They're the ones who are coming into this country, using up more energy, making it more hard. We need to keep all the resources for ourselves because everything's limited.
Okay.
So that's what scares me more than anything about a right-winger. Because then you start getting into eco-fascism, and eco-fascism is that's a thing.
Okay.
That's a thing. There are eco-fascists in America, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like that either.
No, so listen, if we can just have some moderate Republicans realize that this is in the interest of America, long-term economy, it is not really ideological at the end of the day. There's really nothing ideological going on about here because we're using private companies to do all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's ideological only in the way that science has become politically ideological.
Right. It's not like we're saying the U.S. government needs to come in and nationalize all the oil companies. We're not saying that.
No. Which, right? I mean, even though we have said that,
which would be okay,
we do believe it, that's not what we're saying right now.
That's not what Joe Biden is pushing for and who we're going to vote for.
No.
Right? But yeah, that's where Joe Manchin is on the permitting process. And I really hope something does get done within the next couple of years. Because if Joe Biden is president and permitting reform happens, that would be really great.
It would also be great if the permitting reform could apply to housing.
That would be huge.
That would be enormous.
If permitting reform happens and then Donald Trump becomes president, we're fucked.
Yes.
Right? So high risk, high reward, but the high reward I think is worth it.
It is. It's the only way.
It's the only way.